Hi, my witches and norms. Welcome to a WitchDarkTales podcast. I am your host, Moon Witch, and today, as always, we do start the live at 10 o'clock p.m. in the evening. Now, within this live, we're going to be talking about scary stories, things that you witnessed or went through, and also scary stories that has to do with the Central Valley. Now, I just want to say everything that we talk about within this podcast is pure speculation, and everything we talk is just best to the knowledge of our abilities.
Happy birthday, Jennifer Montero! You're turning 21!
Woo! Coming from the WitchDarkTales podcast and Tell a Scary Story by Dee. We want to give you your best birthday shout out ever. Make sure you have fun. Be responsible if you know what we mean. Do you have anything to tell her?
You still have a big future ahead of yourself. And many more, yes.
Ooh, happy birthday! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Woo, happy birthday! Now let's get back into the podcast of Erica's scary story.
Well, my name is Erica. I live in Fresno, California, born and raised. So I was just wanting to talk about an experience that I had. I was about maybe 18 years old. I've always had like paranormal experiences ever since I was little. I was just like prone to it, just always seeing things, and like I would always have dreams of people, like family members that had passed and they would pass away, and I would have a dream of it the night before, but it was always peaceful of them passing and letting me know that they were going to pass away, and the next day they would literally pass away, so I would always be like creeped out. I didn't really talk to nobody about it because my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, so they don't believe in things like that. That is just a no, so I was never able to talk about things like that. So I kind of always held everything in on what I would, my experiences that I had as a child. So I don't know. So I turned 18, and I had my son. Me and my son got our first apartment, and it was in, I don't know if you heard of them. They're called Pleasant Village Apartments in Fresno.
You don't live there no more, right?
No.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm like, oh no.
I left after what had happened. So I had moved in. I got the apartment on New Year's Day, me and my son, and we moved in, and I was so excited. And I just remember being so excited and happy moving into my apartment. I was looking around and I was like, oh my gosh, it had 2 bathrooms. I mean, I was just really excited, for my first apartment. And so it was just me and my son. He was only about 2 years old at the time. And I was there. I didn't have any furniture there besides I had just my bed and my son's bed. We had went shopping, got a little bit of stuff and all that, and kind of just were like, we were going to spend this night there. Well,
all excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So his dad was like, can I come over? Can I see the apartment? And I was like, sure. Yeah, come over. So he had came over, and I was showing him the apartment, and in my room, I had a big walk-in closet. So it was huge. So he went in and he opened the closet. The first thing he goes, oh, like he went, oh, right. And I was like, what? And he goes, I don't know. I saw something. And I go, what do you mean? And like, I turned the light on and there was nothing there. And he was like, I don't know. I saw something kind of like hanging, over, like hanging. And I'm like, no, you're tripping. Like, there's nothing there. And he was like, oh, okay. Like he ignored it, but he was just kind of like, like he kept like bringing it up that night. Like, I don't know, like I saw something, like it was just weird and it kind of freaked me out. Like he didn't really want to go into the room. So he goes, can we just put the mattress in the living room? Like, he's like, let's just do that. And I was like, okay. So we were just in the living room and we were hearing like, it sounded like a music box, like a twinkle box.
Oh yeah, bling,
And
bling, bling.
yeah,
bling,
yeah. And it was like the song was so soothing, but I didn't know where it was coming from because we didn't have a TV. And it was like, it wasn't coming from like the neighbors or nothing. Like we were like, what is that? And it was just like, it had like a certain, like a just a twinkle, it was peaceful. So if you heard it, it was like a peaceful sound, right?
What was that?
Huh? Oh, that was my daughter. She was trying to mimic the sound
Girl,
because
I had my earphones on, so I don't hear nothing but what's coming in here, and all I heard was a little kid. I went,
so I'm sorry about that. So
no, you're okay.
so it was like a twinkle and it would be constantly on, like it never stopped. So like I'm gonna fast forward. So this happened within a period of a month that we were experiencing paranormal activity. So after the twinkle, I was just kind of like, okay, you know, like it was just kind of, you know, where you hear it so much and you hear something and it's just kind of headachy. You're getting headaches. You're kind of like restless nights. You can't
Like those noises, like when you're laying down, you can hear the buzz in your house, like zzz.
Yeah, it was like that. And I don't know, like it got to a point where me and my boyfriend started arguing a lot. He was fighting with me. It got really ugly. And we were arguing a lot. And my baby had this a little car that you would sit on and it would ride, right? And it would sing the Muffin Man song, right? So all of a sudden, we heard from the hallway when we were in the living room, the little car rolling down the hallway. I had a long hallway and it was singing like, do you know the Muffin Man? And then it was kind of like it was giving out from the song. And I was like, what the hell? You know, because it came out of nowhere. We were all in the living room. So that little car came out and my son had like this little that he got from the cherry auction that made noises.
Oh, pew 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 pew.
Yeah. It would go like pew pew pew. Every time he would look up, he would go pew pew, like he would pew. And I'm like, what are you looking at? And he was like he would say like there's something there. Like he would be, you know, and like so the Muffin Man car was constantly moving within the house and the song would play out of nowhere. And I would turn it off, I popped the batteries out, but the song would continuously play out of nowhere. And I was like, what the hell? Okay, this is weird. And so I started noticing that my son was seeing the entity that was there because he kept where it was at. But
code word. Just say pew pew for this and for doing the stuff. Yeah.
Okay, like he would do like pew pew, right? So he was like the thing, it seemed like it never passed the hallway. It wouldn't go into the living room and it wouldn't go into the kitchen. It would kind of stay in the rooms, like right there. So like I said, we were arguing a lot. Things were not right. And I was getting into this weird depression stage where I would be sitting in that closet in the dark with the door shut. And I would just be rocking back and forth. And he would be like, you need to come out the closet. And I'm like, no, like, get out of here. Get out of my, you know, and he was like, what's wrong with you? But like, he would try to like drag me out this closet. I didn't want to leave the closet. It was just something that I was drawn to being there. And I would hear that music box playing and it was starting to comfort me. So after that had happened, things were like getting really bad with me and him. We were in my son's room and my son was playing in in his room, our room, and he had got trapped in the closet, and he was screaming, and we were trying to open the closet, like with all our force, trying to get this closet open. He was stuck in there. So we ended up it must have let it go, or I don't know what, but we opened the closet. So we got him out of the closet, and my boyfriend was like, hey, we gotta go. Like, we can't be here. Like, there's something not right. So I had called my sister, and I was like, hey, I think my house needs some cleansing. There's something going on. So she had brought a couple of, people to come by, and everybody had said, it is thick in here. Like, you can't breathe in here. Like, there's something not right. But none of the cleanses worked. If anything, the energy got thicker and it got heavier. So I was just like, something's just not right. It wasn't going right. So my boyfriend had left. He got in an argument, and he had left, and I had stood there. I had never done these things to myself, but I had started pulling my hair, and I was scratching my face, and it was so weird where I knew it wasn't right, but it felt like something else was controlling my feelings or my thoughts or something like that. I can't explain it. It was like, it's something that I still can't explain to this day that made me act in that way. Well, he had came back, and we were in my son's room, and my son wasn't there. I sent him with my parents because it got really bad at that house. It was feeling really uncomfortable. And so we were in my son's room, and we were cleaning up, and he fixing his room. And then he started arguing with me. So I was on one end of the house, the room. He was on the other end. This man levitated from the floor towards me and started, with his, hand around my neck with 2 fingers. And I was up in the air, like the lights were flickering. As the lights were flickering, I seen this face behind his face. And I was like screaming and yelling, and it's like we were off of the floor, and with 2 fingers, he had his thumb and his index. That was all that was holding me, and we were up in the air, and that face was there, and it just kept flickering and flickering. And then I started, out of nowhere, I started praying, and then we fell off. And so after that had happened, that night, we were trying to so that night felt like 7 days. It felt like eternity. We were stuck in that house. So it was about maybe hours that we were in that apartment at that night after that had happened. And it felt like we were there for days. It felt like hours were days and days were months. It felt like time didn't exist in that apartment. So we were arguing, we were fighting, and he was asleep. I was asleep, and he had said that somebody was rubbing his ear, and he thought it was me. And he was like, oh, you're trying to make up with me, like you feel. And I was passed out, but somebody was rubbing his ear and rubbing his head. And so when he had turned around to say, hey, I'm sorry, he noticed I was asleep. He was like, hey. And he was like, you were just rubbing my... I go, no, I wasn't. And he goes, yeah, you were. I go, no, I wasn't. He goes, Erica, somebody was just rubbing my ear with their fingers in my hair. I thought it was you. And I was like, no. So we were trying to talk about what was going on, the choking situation, the whole thing. We were like, okay, something's not right here. He goes, I think it's that thing that I seen that was in the closet. And so we were like, he was like, let's go. Every time that I tried to leave the apartment I started getting sick, where I was getting headaches. I was nauseated. I was vomiting. I was like, I can't go. My body was so weak. And he was like, no, you gotta go. Something's holding you back. I was like, I can't go. So we ended up staying there, and the safest place in that house was in the kitchen. So we were literally laying in the kitchen when we were hearing noises. You can hear a lady crying, she was crying. the jukebox noise was going off, and I was just like, I don't feel good. And so he was trying to call his mom. When he was on the phone trying to call his mom, the phone kept doing this like this kind of noise, right? And then it said, and you know how normally if you can't make a call, it'll say, I'm sorry, you know, something like that.
The dial is no longer in service. Or
Yeah.
hang up and try again.
Yeah, it didn't do that. It says you cannot call out right now. You need to hang up the phone. And then it was like a screeching, screaming voice, really loud on the end of the line. And I was like, you know, and like I put it from my ear, and it said, hang up now, like some creepy shit. And the phone disconnected. It hung up. And his mom, she is like so with all that type of she does like cleansings, and she does some stuff like that. So for some reason, she was able to break through that connection, and she called, and I answered, and she goes, what's going on? I had this dream of you. And I said, this and this is going on. I was telling her, I try to call, I don't know what to do. And then he was like saying, Erica's sick, like we need help. And she was like, I'm gonna start praying. So she had started praying and everything. And then from the prayer, she was saying like the Our Father prayer. And from the Our Father prayer, she everything felt like the house was shaking from that prayer. And it was like shaking really, really hard, the apartment. Mm-hmm. So she picked us up, and I was sick, and she goes, Erica, you're still gonna go. Let's go. I will put some sage on you. I'll do a prayer. Like, let's go. She took me to her house, and the whole time I was like, I gotta go back home. I need to go back home. She goes, no, you can't go back home. You cannot go back home. So I stood there. She said a prayer. She gave me some sage. She did all that for me to calm down, because I felt like I had to go back to that apartment. And when she looked at my back, she goes, what are all those marks on your back? I go, I've been getting pushed in the hallway. Something keeps pushing me in the hallway, and I keep getting like scars on my back. And so she was like, oh my God, this thing has put in, you know, it's touched you? I said, yeah, it's touched me. So she goes, I'm going to call a lady that I know, and she's going to go over there and she's going to cleanse it. She was like an Indian woman. She was very strong with what she does. Well, we met her there. So we told her nothing of the background, nothing what happened. This lady came in, we came in. And as soon as she came in, she was like, oh my God. She was like, no. So she started doing this cleansing, right? She went to my closet, and she told us to sit in the living room. And I had this big bay window in the front, and I was upstairs. So her and my mother-in-law went to the back, and I heard her singing this Indian song. And then I heard my mother-in-law saying Our Father. And all I heard was that thing screaming and yelling at them. And then I heard like big footsteps, like boom, 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 boom. And then it went like, it ran into my son's room, and it slammed the door. And they walked right after it, and they were still saying the prayer. And she kept saying, she said, you're not welcome here. You need to leave. And then I heard it talk back. It said, this is my home. And she goes, no, this is no longer your home. You passed away. You need to leave. This is not your home. And then she said, this is my home. You leave. And then, so when I turned, she told me not to look, but I turned and I looked. That's when that thing looked at me, and it started putting her hands around the lady again, you know, like what it did to me. And then my mother-in-law kept saying Our Father. She kept saying it and saying it. And then all of a sudden, you just felt this gust of wind, like your hair just went boof, like if it flew out. And then all of a sudden, the air got thin where you could feel it, like you were able to breathe. So the lady did so much cleansing. She opened up all my cabinets. She found like these little like toothpicks, stars, hair wrapped around things, like little, I don't know if they were like witchery stuff. I don't know what they were, but they were in my cupboards, in my kitchen. They were throughout the houses, like these star things. I don't know what they were. She found them on my stairs where I had got pushed from my stairs. She found them there throughout my house.
Dang.
And she had to cleanse every inch of the house to get rid of that. So when
I'm not laughing, I promise. I'm freaking out right now.
I know. And so when she started cleansing us, she told me, she started talking to me. She said, Erica, she said, you were supposed to die. You were supposed to pass away yesterday. She goes, you were not supposed to make it out of this house. She goes, you were supposed to, you know, go on in life by the hands of your husband. She goes, the lady that lived here, she goes, didn't realize that she was gone. She goes, when you moved in, she thought that she was still alive and that somebody was moving in on her house. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. She goes, so she didn't know that she was gone, and she thought that we were just invading her privacy. And then she goes, and she, you know, she, you know what I mean? In the, she inside of the closet, that's what my husband seen, was her from the closet. So that's how she unalived herself, in the closet. And so I was like, what the heck? And she goes, yeah, you were not supposed to live. And she goes, she had a little son that was your son's age. That's why she tried to play with him. She tried to play with my son. She thought my husband was her boyfriend and my son was her son. So she was trying to unalive me. And so that explains her touching his ear, rubbing his head, and doing all that. So after that had happened, everything got calm. 2 days later, some girls came to my house, knocked on my door. I opened it, and they said, are you Tatiana? And I said, no. They go, do you know her? And I go, no. And they go, well, her ID, we found her ID. And so when I grabbed the ID, the girl looked like me.
Oh my God.
And I said, oh my God. So when I took the ID and I took it to my apartment complex manager, and I said, hey, does somebody unalive themselves in my apartment complex? She goes, how did you know? She said, and I told her what had happened. I go, is this the girl? She goes, yes, that's the girl. How did you get that ID? And I said, somebody brought it to my apartment. And she goes, how did you find out? And I go, because. And I told her the whole story. She goes, oh my goodness, Erica, I am so sorry. And I go, why didn't you tell me that this happened? How long ago did this happen? She goes, this happened 5 years ago. I go, 5 years ago? I go, how did the ID end up out of nowhere? And so to me, I took that as like she said, I wasn't supposed to be alive. That would have been my calling, you know? And after that I had got the ID. 2 days after that, I don't know if you guys seen it on the news, but there was a mother that thought she had saw that she said a demon possessed her, and she ended up unaliving her 2-year-old in an apartment complex. And it was all over the news. She unalived him, and she said that that lady told her to unalive her baby. So I'm feeling it was that same entity that did that.
Oh my God.
So it was really bad. It was real. And ever since then, it's like, I'm so afraid of a lot of things to see, you know. It's like ever since then, I feel like I stepped on an entity gum, and I take it everywhere I go.
Right. The digital footprint, or they call it the remnants. Like
Yeah.
like leftover residue.
Yeah. it's so scary. I've gotten used to it, but it's just scary sometimes because it pops out at me at any time of the day. Things happen to me, but that was just the worst feeling that I've ever felt.
I'm telling you right now, everyone listening, if you guys are shocked, you guys can't even send my stickers. Just send an emoji of like the open mouth emoji, because babe, we are shook like to the core.
Yeah, like I said, that one day felt like an eternity. It felt like no other. Like, I just cannot believe it happened. And the just the fact that the girl looked like me, and
Yeah.
that was scary. So that's like just one of the experiences that I had that just was one that was really, really big.
So I just want to say,
how long did you live there afterwards?
Oh, look at my sister-in-law. She remembers. She's on here right now, Martha. She remembers that.
I just want to say before we do continue, this is why I started this live. And babe, and this is not towards anyone that's told me the scary stories before, but you, out of everyone I talked to for the past 2-3 weeks of doing this live, yours was the most craziest, scariest, most information, more backstory to the core.
Yeah, that was really some scary stuff there.
Yeah.
This again, you guys. This is why I started this live. Okay.
This is what we're talking about.
We love sharing scary stories, and I love that you guys have amazing story. But I'm not gonna lie, hers was like it topped everybody. You really did.
Agree.
I loved it too.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to share it. No one knows about it other than me.
I'm gonna have to say my rosary before I go to sleep tonight.
I'm about to shower.
I know, me too. Believe me, I've asked that lady, I go, will she ever find me again? Will she find me again? Because that scares me, because she had it, I felt like she had it out for me, and like she told me, that lady had told me, if I did not leave my husband, I was gonna pass away by his hands eventually. And I stood with my husband so I was like 18, I'm 33. I barely parted from my husband when I was 30, but he was almost going to take me by his hands. And she goes, I don't see a future if you stay with him. And she goes, I don't see your future. I stood that long and he's almost unalived me thousands of times. It seems like after that day, something changed in him and he just became not the same. And and right now he's in prison for almost unaliving me and my son.
And thank you, audio listeners, and thank you to the viewers. And with that being said, don't forget to follow and like my podcast. And I'll see you next time on 31 Days of Halloween special occasion. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you. Bye.